You're watching First Alert 7 News at 9 on the CW and live on YouTube with Lauren Munt and weather with Tom Tiefertiller.
From a new day of school perspective, today we started pre-K and all of our elementary students. We also started just our 6th graders at the middle school and 9th graders at the high school.
Students all across the Permian Basin are starting school this week, and we've got all your back-to-school coverage, plus a look at ECISD's first day coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us for First Alert 7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on our First Alert YouTube. I'm Lauren Munt. If you've been on our social media pages or if you've been watching closely, you can see that we've got a bit of a new look with new graphics, a refreshed set, and a new logo. Our CBS7 First Alert News and Weather team is now your First Alert 7 team. We're proud to be your First Alert for news, weather, and sports here on television and on social media. And as we look to our future as a news outlet, we want our logo and product to reflect that First Alert image. We're proud to be your First Alert on all things West Texas, and we'll continue to bring you the most up-to-date news, weather, and sports stories from the Permian Basin. We're going to turn now to our top headlines. Tracking crime, we've learned the identity of the suspect who shot and killed a man in West Odessa last night. The Ector County Sheriff's Office says that deputies were called to the 1200 block of West Love near West University and Knox Avenue. According to officers, that's where they found the victim dead. The suspect, Omar Beltran Bativa, is now facing multiple charges, including aggravated kidnapping with a deadly weapon and first-degree murder. We'll bring you additional details as they come into our newsroom. And Midland police are looking for 2 suspects in a stabbing from over the weekend. Police say the stabbing happened early Sunday morning at the Executive Inn on Midkiff. The victim called police and said he'd been stabbed in the neck and that the suspects left the scene. According to the police, the suspects were driving a black Ford pickup truck. Later on Sunday, police found that truck and they searched it. The investigation and search for the suspects continues. We've got new details for you now tonight on the Forest Brothers tire fire. According to the city of Odessa, the cause of the fire is undetermined. The fire broke out at the 400 South JBS Parkway Boulevard location last night. Crews arrived before 5:15 to find tires, plastic, and cardboard on fire near the back of the yard. The fire marshal's office said the fire started in the yard area of the West Shop. If we learn any new information about this, we will, of course, continue to update you. Some oil and gas news for you now. Oil prices jumped sharply today as traders worry about a potential uptick in violence in the Middle East. U.S. crude rose 4.2% and closed at $80 a barrel, while Brent crude, the world benchmark, gained 3% to close at $82 a barrel. Analysts say traders are worried Iran will attack Israel after the recent assassinations of Hezbollah and Hamas leaders, and they're concerned a widening conflict could disrupt the flow of oil out of the Strait of Hormuz, the biggest shipping channel in the world for oil. We're going to take a pause now and talk your weather forecast. Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller is here to tell us what we can expect as we head into our week. Tom?
Well, we're going to see more heat like we saw today as we can't shake it. It's the middle of August, and it looks like we're going to stay this way. Now, looking at the satellite radar view, seeing that most of the scattered showers, thunder showers, starting to die down as they move off to the northwest. Activity near the Van Horn area at the present time. Here's what we saw in the way of high temperatures today. Usually about 95, 96. We saw triple digits both in Midland, Odessa, Big Spring, 99 officially out at the Midland National Air and Spaceport. In the hot spot again was Rio Grande Village, up to 107 degrees. Currently we're seeing those temperatures trying to cool out of the 90s, but still hanging on in many locations. Nice cool 87 in Fort Davis after some rain there, and 86 in Alpine. The winds are a little gusty out of the south, sustained up to 20 miles an hour, gust up to 25. So with this kicking in, with southerly jet is what we call it, it is going to continue to keep those temperatures on the mild side, only about the mid-70s on the way overnight tonight. And it does look like we are going to see more of the heat. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Tom. We're talking education news now, where Dr. Matt Freeze has announced that he's running for the District 4 seat on the Midland ISD Board of Trustees. Dr. Freeze is the president of Midland Pathologists and says his run would focus on the following: educating students with a rigorous curriculum, setting high standards for all grade levels and student abilities, and demand to graduate students of high moral character. For more information on Dr. Freese's school board run, you can go to our website, firstalert7.com. Switching it over to Ector County ISD, where students made their transition from the last day of summer to the first day of school. But not all students were welcome in the classroom today. ECISD takes a phased-in approach to the start of school, allowing newer students to get acquainted with their new environment before returning students arrive on campus.
One of the things that we learned during the pandemic is a phased-in approach to starting school is really healthy for kids. Moving to middle school and high school can be challenging and overwhelming, and so this first day for those kids, and it's extra special for them.
The change of environment also came with some changes for this school year.
Some schools will notice some things that have happened, some new tools for teachers in our classrooms, some new energy, some new electricity and plumbing and air conditioning, and so we'll continue to use that bond for good things.
Students were welcomed back with a celebration featuring music, balloons, and even the Permian High School football team. Take a look. This is at Blanton Elementary, where, as you can see, students were clearly very excited to get back to learning.
I was like getting crazy in the car. I want to go meet my friends. I'm going to go meet my teacher.
Faculty were also excited to return to school so they could show off their classrooms.
We're super excited. We've worked hard. The teachers have worked hard. It's good to have kids back in the building. School's not fun unless they're here.
Like we said, 7th and 8th graders will return to the classroom tomorrow, and so will the rest of the high schoolers. Here's a look at the Ector County ISD bell schedule for this year. The elementary schools will be in school from 7:40 a.m. to 3:20 p.m. each day. Middle schoolers will go from 8:30 in the morning until 4:15 in the afternoon. And 9th graders, they started today, and like we said, the rest of the high schoolers start tomorrow. They'll be in class from 8:35 until 4. For Midland ISD students, school starts tomorrow. Be sure to tune in to Wake Up West Texas tomorrow morning for live coverage from our very own Matthew Alvarez and Sawyer McElroy. And the Young Women's Leadership Academy will unveil its newly revamped outdoor learning space this week. According to MISD, they'll be showing off the new space and greenhouse on August 14th at a ribbon cutting ceremony. The revamped space will include more benches for the outdoor classrooms and greenhouse renovations that will serve as a classroom and a lab. Officials say they're excited about creating an updated space dedicated to outdoor learning. Public transportation use in Midland is reaching record highs compared to previous years. According to the City of Midland, Easy Rider's fixed route ridership jumped nearly 48% in July compared to July of 2023. The Midland-Odessa Urban Transit District reports that there was over 12,000 riders this past July and only 8,000 riders in July of 2023. That's about a 4,000 passenger increase since April. The bus has seen about 2,000 passenger increase when it comes to fixed routes. Easy Rider operates in both Midland and Odessa. And some local sports for you now. The Greenwood Rangers 2024 season will be the second year under head coach Brian Hill. The team is returning a lot of players because of such a young roster in 2023. CBS7's Jensen Young shows us what Greenwood is drawing up for this season.
You know, anytime you start a new season, it's almost like Christmas morning. You know, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of hope, a lot of confidence, especially coming off the season we had last year and returning what we've got back on our roster. We're really excited for a great season and can't wait to get things kicked off on August 30th.
The Greenwood Rangers are coming off a 3-8 season that saw a very young starting lineup. The cohesion from season to season helps the players feel more connected and more prepared.
More experience for sure. You know, we bringing back 14 sophomores and a handful of juniors. So, you know, it's really helping us with experience going into this year, you know.
To have that kind of depth returning, we are not spending as much time teaching concepts and terminology. You're teaching more execution, and, you know, those things they're invaluable.
Junior quarterback Lincoln Madrid will lead the team in 2024. His offense will look a little different with the addition of new offensive coordinator Zane Hernandez, but many of the players around him are players he had around last season, like senior wide receiver Cade Rowell.
It's going pretty good. You know, we've come up here and thrown a lot, and it's just a really good connection. He knows where to throw it, and I know where to get to.
The Rangers' defense is a big area of improvement for 2024. Last season, opponents were held below 35 points just 3 times.
We have 2 defensive ends, Luke Fales and Lane Wasson, and all they do is compete with each other. Moving back, to our linebackers, Landon Butts is a senior. Dakota Underhill had a great year as a sophomore, and so those 2 guys will both be back. And then in the back end, Josiah Galindo at corner, Ty Box is coming off injury at our nickel position, and Kason Brooks is kind of the quarterback of our defense in the secondary.
Greenwood starts their season on August 30th against Childress.
Let's take it over to the 6-man football team in Garden City, where the Bearcats have a new look heading into 2024.
I'm liking the team speed we have. We're going to have to develop some depth and develop some experience because a lot of these guys have never stepped foot on a varsity football field. So, but watching their enthusiasm and their effort is it's fun.
The Bearcats will be led by Carson Goodwin, who's made an impact over the past 2 seasons.
It's been pretty good. I've gotten stronger and more athletic, so I think we'll be good this year.
When you get some confidence by being a player of the week, you tend to just keep getting better because you start believing in yourself and the team starts believing in you, and it's a fun transformation to watch, and Carson's done a great job at doing that.
And despite having a varsity team with fresh faces heading into 2024, the Bearcats have a lot of cohesion.
We look a little young just looking at us, but we've been playing together our whole lives. Actually, this is a team that won the Pee Wee State Championship back in 5th grade, so we got a lot of chemistry. We've been playing together for a while, and we're really excited for the season.
And with the name and history that Garden City has, the 2024 Bearcats look to keep the tradition of excellence alive.
There's a lot of teams before us that they set the bar high, and as a team we need to remember that we want to keep that tradition alive, and we always need to have the attitude that we're winners and that we're doing this to win.
Coming up, an investigation into CenterPoint Energy and new details on the massacre at Uvalde Elementary. Those stories in your state news next here on First Alert 7 News at 9. Attorney General Ken Paxton is investigating CenterPoint Energy after its widely criticized response to Hurricane Beryl. It took nearly 2 weeks for CenterPoint to restore power to everyone after the Category 1 hurricane struck the Houston area on July 8th. The lengthy outages and lack of accurate information amid the summer heat triggered anger and frustration across the area. Attorney General Paxton's office says it will investigate potential violations of state law. Paxton also said that includes allegations of fraud, waste, and improper use of taxpayer-provided funds. In recent hearings, CenterPoint executives apologized for the company's handling of Beryl, and they announced a lengthy action plan, vowing to improve before the rest of the hurricane season. In more state news, more than 2 years after the deadly massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, the city released additional files related to the shooting. Among the hundreds of pages of text messages released, messages showed a group of officers expressing fear for their safety after the massacre. Rob Kirkpatrick has the latest.
Newly released files are shedding more light into officers responding to the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Body cam footage of officers inside the school show how police eventually confronted the shooter, who massacred 19 children and 2 teachers. Law enforcement has been heavily criticized for its failed response in the May 2022 shooting.
I think the report concludes that had the law enforcement agencies followed generally accepted practices in an active shooter situation and gone right after the shooter to stop him, lives would have been saved.
The release comes after several news outlets, including CNN, filed a lawsuit to obtain public records. Community anger grew over why victims were left with the gunman for well over an hour.
They just didn't act. They just didn't move.
376 law enforcement officers were on the scene, and it took 77 minutes from when the gunman entered the school before they confronted and killed him. In one 911 call released, a man claiming to be the shooter's uncle reached out in hopes of getting his nephew to turn himself in.
The thing that's happening at Robb right now.
Okay.
My nephew.
Who's your nephew, sir?
I was wondering maybe he could listen to me because he does listen to me. Everything I tell him, he does listen to me. Maybe he could stand down.
I'm Rob Kirkpatrick reporting.
Well, we are dealing with a lot of heat. More's in the forecast. We'll tell you about it up next.
Now, from the First Alert 7 Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, as we take a look at current temperatures, they are on the warm side out there, still hanging on to the 90s. And a big part of this is we're seeing southerly winds that are a little gusty at times, and that's going to keep temperatures up overnight tonight, only dropping down into the mid 70s is what we're going to be looking at. It's all because of a big ridge of high pressure. We have a trough back to the west a little bit. This could come into play as this high pressure tries to move a little bit off to the east and northeast. Well, this little trough right here, that's a stretched out area of low pressure, a trough. Let me define that for you. Well, that will move in and kick off more scattered showers, thunder showers in the mountain areas, but a few may creep in across the Trans-Pecos Permian Basin later on this week, but it looks like they'll be very isolated. Most of the stuff's going to be west of the Pecos River into portions of New Mexico like it is right now. That's all that's really going on. Everything else across the state of Texas has wound down for tonight, as we are looking at temperatures today. Rather hot, especially here across East Texas, like this 99 in Houston. That gave way to heat index values up around 111 to 115 earlier this afternoon. West Texas, we were just dealing with straight up temperature out there at 99 in the Permian Basin, 103 in Presidio, hotspot Rio Grande Village, 107 this afternoon. So a lot of heat across the state, and it's not going away anytime soon. Now, taking a look at this futurecast, showing you that, again, we are going to see things relatively quiet. Isolated showers, thunder showers, popping up by the afternoon in the mountain areas. And we'll see the same process start again coming up on Wednesday, as we'll see more scattered showers and thunder showers. Trying to put a little bit across the western Permian Basin into Wednesday, and then maybe a little bit more into Thursday with the approach of that little trough to our west. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, but I think everything's going to be very isolated, not everybody getting wet out of our next chance at rain. Mid-70s again overnight tonight, a little breezy out there, so very mild, and then tomorrow another hot one out there across most areas into triple digits in some locations like Big Spring, Monahans, Pecos, Fort Stockton, Presidio, and up towards the Carlsbad area too. Here's a look at that CBS7 First Alert exclusive 10-day forecast, showing you that we are going to be looking at relatively quiet conditions. There's that thunderstorm chance coming up later on Thursday into Friday, with hot temperatures to go along with it. And if you're making those weekend plans, watch out. Triple digits are on the way with lots of sunshine in the forecast.
Up next here at 9, Latino voters could tip the scale of power in November. We'll tell you how and what issues that they want to address this upcoming election. Up next. The League of United Latin American Citizens has remained nonpartisan for nearly a century. Recently, LULAC broke that tradition by endorsing Kamala Harris. Washington News correspondent Ryan Henson speaks with experts about politicians about the issues that matter most to Latino families.
This November, an estimated 36 million Latino voters will head to the ballot box, according to Pew Research. GOP nominee, former President Donald Trump, and Democrat nominee Kamala Harris both hoping to win over the bulk of this voting bloc.
Our organization is gearing up to make sure that we educate as many Hispanics that are eligible to vote to get out there and vote. That's the most important thing right now.
The League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC for short, works to educate and engage Latino voters. For nearly a century, this organization has remained nonpartisan. But this year, for the first time ever, they've endorsed a candidate, Kamala Harris. The group says the economy, education, and healthcare are top issues for families.
You know that some of them don't have health insurance. We want to see how that's going to be handled.
Voto Latino, a historically Democrat-supporting organization, says they represent the voices of many Latinos, saying former President Donald Trump isn't the leader Hispanic voters need.
The Republican platform, especially the 2025 project, is an anti-immigrant, anti-Latino, anti-workers project.
Voto Latino says since Kamala Harris became the Democratic nominee, there has been a 200% plus jump in enthusiasm.
In that she is connecting, especially with young voters.
Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida says Harris's work as VP has contributed to the problems plaguing Latino families, saying in part, quote, communities are suffering from crime, drugs, and migrant gangs. They're worried about the future here and for their relatives abroad, thanks to the Biden-Harris administration's continued failures. There are some shared goals. All groups want to see the issues at the southern border cleared up, and they say Latino voters will have a major impact in November. In Washington, I'm Ryan Henson.
Still ahead, we've got one last look at your first alert forecast as we head into your week. Stay with us. All right, thanks for joining us for First Alert 7 News at 9 on the CW. We've got more news coming up tonight on First Alert 7 News.